We are going on a treasure hunt for one of the most overlooked, misunderstood, and potentially life-changing coins in American history. This isn't just a story about copper and zinc. This is a story about how the ordinary can become extraordinary in the blink of an eye. It's a story about 1966, a year that changed everything, and a penny that could be worth more than most houses. In 1965, the United States was in crisis. We were running out of coins. The silver that had been in our dimes and quarters for decades was being hoarded by Americans and melted down by speculators. The government had to act fast. To solve this, they made a drastic decision. They stopped making proof sets and replaced them with something called special mint sets. These were supposed to be special, a step above the regular coins you got at the bank, but they were never quite as brilliant or mirrored as the proofs of old. For 3 years, from 1965 to 1967, the Philadelphia Mint stopped putting mint marks on coins. This was an attempt to discourage collectors from hoarding them. It didn't work, of course, but it created a mystery that lives on to this day. A 1966 penny with no mint mark is standard. It's the rule, not the exception. And that's exactly why the valuable ones are so incredibly hard to find. Now, imagine the Philadelphia Mint in 1966. It's a massive, humming machine of industry, cranking out over 2 billion of these pennies. Picture the workers, tired and overworked, trying to meet the insatiable demand for coinage. They are using dies that are being used far beyond their intended lifespan. A die is the stamp that imprints the design onto a blank piece of metal. When a die starts to wear down, it creates a unique fingerprint on the coins it strikes. But something else can happen. Sometimes, when a die is being made, there's a tiny slip. The hub, which presses the design into the die, moves slightly. The result is a doubled image, a ghostly echo of the letters and numbers on the coin. This is what we call a doubled die, and it's where the money is. Listen to me very carefully. If you have a 1966 penny with a doubled die, it is not a quarter. It is not a dollar. It is not even $1,000. In a high grade, it can be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. The pieces we see in circulation are the most common, but even those are scarce. But the real treasure? The real treasure lies in the mint state examples. A coin that is uncirculated, with that original red luster, is a thing of breathtaking beauty. The value chart for the 1966 penny reads like a mystery novel. An average circulated coin is worth 1 cent. A nice uncirculated one might be $1 or $2. But then, the numbers start to climb. At MS-65, it's valued at around $12. At MS-66, $35. Then, at MS-67, the value skyrockets to almost $900. But there is a version of this coin, a single, perfect specimen, that's sold for a staggering sum. It's a coin that looks exactly like the penny in your pocket, but in pristine condition, it is worth nearly $1 million. But there's another rabbit hole we have to go down. The special mint set. Imagine a tiny, sealed plastic case holding 5 coins. The 1966 special mint set was meant to be a collector's item, but the mint was also making them from the same business strike dies. A regular 1966 penny from the bank could be worth $1. But a 1966 SMS penny in near-perfect condition is a different beast entirely. In 1966, the government distributed millions of these sets. They are still out there, hidden in attic trunks and forgotten dresser drawers. And inside one of those sets, there might be a coin so perfect, so sharply struck, that it's worth thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars. The Cameo SMS coins, those with frosted devices and deep mirror fields, are highly sought after. A perfect Cameo version could bring in well over $2,000. Do you understand what I'm telling you? The coin is the same year, the same design, the same weight. The only difference is the condition and the way it was struck. And that difference is the difference between pocket change and a new car. Now, let's talk about the screamers. The errors that make a 1966 penny worth a fortune. The double die is the king. It was a mistake made at the Philadelphia Mint, and it happened on thousands of pennies. But there's something more rare, more elusive. The mirror brockage. A mirror brockage happens when a struck coin gets stuck to the die, and the next blank planchet is struck against it. The result is a mirror image of the design pressed into the face of the new coin. A 1966 penny with a double struck, first strike mirror brockage is so rare that it can sell for $4,000 or more. It is an artifact of an event that happened in the blink of an eye, a frozen moment of chaos in the minting process. These are the coins that make your heart race. These are the coins that make you search through every single piece of change you have. You need to look closely. No, I mean really closely. Take a magnifying glass, or better yet, a loupe. Look at the date on the 1966 penny. Look at the words, Liberty. Look at the phrase, In God We Trust. For the 1966 penny, the best way to spot a true double die is to look at the date. If the numbers look like they are doubled, like a shadow is falling off to the side, you might have struck gold. But here's the warning. What you are most likely seeing is machine doubling. This happens when the die is loose or bouncing during the strike. It produces a flat, shelf-like doubling that is not rare and adds no real value. A true double die is raised, rounded, and distinct. It's not a reflection, it's a duplication of the design. Many people have looked at a 1966 penny and thought they found a fortune, only to realize later that they were looking at something else. That's the heartbreak of the hobby. But it's also the thrill. The 1966 penny is a ghost in our pockets. It has a fascinating backstory, a tale of a nation in transition, struggling with a coin shortage, trying to maintain its history while embracing the modern world. The special mint sets of the mid-60s were a compromise, a stopgap, but they produced some of the most beautiful and frustrating coins in the entire Lincoln Cent series. It's a series full of nuance, full of subtle differences that mean the world to a collector. The 1969 double die, the 1972 double die, the 1995 double die, the 1982 bronze cents, the transitional errors. The Lincoln Cent series is a treasure trove of surprises. But the 1966 penny, with its 2 billion plus mintage, is the one that hides the biggest secret. The chance of finding an MS-67 red is almost impossible. The chance of finding that rare SMS cameo is even slimmer. But they exist. And that's the hook. That's why we search. Let me paint you a picture of the moment of discovery. It's late at night. The house is quiet. You're sifting through a jar of old pennies, the ones you've been meaning to take to the bank for years. The light catches a coin just right. The surface is smooth, almost mirror-like. The edges are sharp and crisp. You pull out your magnifying glass and look at the date. The numbers are perfectly clear, but there's something else. A subtle shadow on the rim of the 6. The letters are thick and robust. You look at the word, Liberty, and your heart starts to pound. You're shaking, knowing you might be holding a coin that could change your life. This scenario is real. It has happened to people just like you, and it can happen again. This is not about greed. It's about awareness. It's about the eye of the beholder. It's about recognizing that value is often hidden in the most mundane places. We as collectors are detectives, historians, and dreamers. We see the story behind the copper. We know the 1966 penny is more than just a coin. It's a time capsule. It's a reminder of the year the United States government tried to outsmart the collector market and inadvertently created one of its greatest mysteries. You check every single 1966 penny you see. You check the condition. You look for the luster. A coin that has seen a lifetime of pocket wear will have a dull, brownish color. But an uncirculated coin will be a rich, vibrant red. The price difference between a brown coin and a red coin is astronomical. A brown 1966 penny is worth 1 cent. A red 1966 penny in high grade can be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. That's the power of copper color. It's the very nature of the copper that gives these coins their incredible value. The metal itself is worth more than the face value, but it's the condition and the rarity of the condition that makes it worth $1 million. We talked about the double die, but there are other errors that can make a 1966 penny valuable. What if the L in Liberty is missing? That is most likely a grease-filled die, a common error where a glob of grease gets stuck in the die, preventing the metal from flowing into the tiny crevices of the design. These are fun, and they might be worth a few dollars, but they are not your ticket to riches. What about a strike that is off-center? A dramatic off-center strike can be worth a few $100s, depending on how much of the design is missing and the overall condition. But the big money, the life-changing money, comes from the double die. It comes from the perfect, uncirculated specimen. It comes from the coin that looks like it just left the mint in 1966, even though it's been hiding in a collection for 50 years. Consider this. The special mint set was the mint's solution to a crisis. They were trying to provide a product for collectors without adding to the coin shortage. The coins from those sets were supposed to be of a higher quality than regular circulation coins, but many of them are just mediocre. However, a few are spectacular. The SMS coins that show cameo contrast are rare. A cameo coin has a frosted, almost chalky appearance on the raised parts of the design, contrasting with the mirror-like background. This is a sign of a sharp strike and a well-preserved die. A 1966 SMS penny with a cameo designation can fetch 5 figures. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. I want you to stop for a moment. Look at your hand. Imagine that what you're holding isn't just a piece of copper, but a piece of history. In 1966, man was walking in space. The Beatles were releasing Revolver. The Vietnam War was escalating. And the Philadelphia Mint was working overtime to keep the country running. Every one of those pennies was a tiny piece of that year. They were in the pockets of soldiers, of astronauts, of protesters, of politicians. They were the lifeblood of the economy. And now, some of them are worth more than gold. We as collectors are privileged to be the guardians of this history. We have the opportunity to find these gems. We have the knowledge to recognize their value. But knowledge without action is useless. You have to hunt. You have to search. You have to become a detective. Don't take your coins for granted. Look at them. Study them. There are millions upon millions of 1966 pennies out there, but only a handful are truly valuable. The mintage numbers are staggering. Over 2,100,000,000 pennies were struck in Philadelphia that year. That's more than the population of the United States at the time. You could line them up and they'd stretch around the world several times. The sheer volume of them is what makes the rare ones so special. If everyone had one, it wouldn't be worth anything. But because almost everyone has one, finding the perfect one is like winning the lottery. It's the thrill of the search. It's the allure of the unknown. It's the promise of the secret fortune. This is why we have the special mint set registry. This is why PCGS tracks the finest examples. Collectors are competing to find the best 1966 SMS set in existence. It's a game of precision, patience, and a little bit of luck. When you get a coin graded, and it comes back as an MS-67, you feel a sense of victory. You have beaten the odds. You have preserved a piece of American history in its most perfect form. And you have unlocked its value. What if I told you that in 1966, there was a coin shortage so severe that the government actually melted down silver dollars to make new coins? The coin supply was being choked off by speculators. The mint was in chaos. The quality control was not what it should have been. This chaos created the perfect storm for errors. It created the conditions for the rare double die. It created the condition where a die could be used too long, creating a die crack that could be worth a lot of money. It created the condition where the metal composition itself was in flux, leading to transitional errors. All of these things make the 1966 penny a fascinating, complex, and potentially very valuable coin. I know what you're thinking. This is just a story. I'll never find it. That's what everyone thinks. But that's what the person who found the 1969's double die thought. That's what the person who found the 1972 double die thought. They were just looking through their change, or going through a relative's coin collection, and they saw something that made them stop. They saw the doubling. They saw the reflection. They saw the value. They are just like you. The only difference is they didn't toss the coin back into the jar. They investigated. They did their research. They believed in the possibility. So, I challenge you. Go home tonight. Get that jar of pennies. Get that old cigar box. Get that canvas bag. Look at the dates. Look at the condition. Look for the errors. You don't need to be an expert. You just need to be curious. You need to be diligent. And you need to know what to look for. And you've just learned exactly what to look for. Here's another secret. The 1966 proof-like coins from the SMS and the regular strikes in high grade are often overlooked. Most collectors focus on the older pennies, the wheat cents, the Indian heads. They ignore the modern coins. They think they can't be valuable. But they are wrong. The 1966 penny is a modern coin, but it can be worth millions of dollars. Yes, I said millions. In the world of error coins and high-grade rarities, this is a thing of beauty. This is the hidden gem. We've talked about the coin shortage of the mid-60s. We've talked about the special mint sets. We've talked about the errors. We've talked about the grades. We've talked about how to identify a double die. We have the tools. We have the knowledge. Now, we just need the will. The will to look. The will to find. The will to believe that a small, humble penny can hold the key to a fortune. I want you to think about the emotional weight of this. Imagine finding this coin. Imagine holding it in your hand, knowing that it is worth $765,000. Imagine paying off your mortgage. Imagine sending your kids to college. Imagine buying that car you've always wanted. Imagine the look on your family's face when you tell them that your hobby, your passion, has paid off in the most spectacular way possible. This isn't just about money. It's about validation. It's about being the one who saw what others missed. It's about the thrill of the hunt and the glory of the catch. That coin, that $800,000 treasure, looks almost exactly like the pennies you have in your pocket, your jar, or your drawer right now. It has no mint mark. It says 1967, and it is hiding in plain sight. The coin I am talking about is a 1967 Lincoln Memorial penny, but not just any 1967 penny, a very specific one. And today, we are going to find out what makes it worth a fortune. Let's start with the history, because that is where the mystery begins. The year is 1965. The United States is in the grip of a severe coin shortage. Coins are disappearing from circulation as quickly as they are minted, and the government believes that coin collectors are a big part of the problem. They think people are hoarding coins, pulling them out of circulation, and driving the economy to a standstill. So, they made a radical decision. To discourage hoarding, the U.S. Mint decided to stop placing mint marks on coins. No more P for Philadelphia, no D for Denver, no S for San Francisco. From 1965 all the way through 1967, every single coin produced for general circulation would be anonymous, a blank slate with no identifying mark of origin. The idea was that if every coin looked the same, there would be nothing special to collect, and people would just spend them. They were wrong. In fact, they accidentally created one of the most fascinating eras in American coin collecting. Because without a mint mark, you can't be entirely sure, but it doesn't really matter for the vast majority of them. Most of these coins are common. You can find them by the handful. Worn ones are worth just their copper melt value, which is about 2 or 3 cents. In uncirculated condition, maybe a nice, shiny, red one, it might be worth a few dollars, perhaps up to $26 for a really perfect specimen. It's a nice little find, but it's not life-changing. It's not the kind of money that makes you want to call your family and tell them you've struck it rich. But that's the thing about this story. It's not about the ordinary. It's about the extraordinary, the exceptions, the 1 in a billion, mind-boggling, jaw-dropping exceptions. And that brings us to the heart of our treasure hunt. The coin that is worth over $800,000. The secret lies in the finish. In the mid-1960s, with the ban on mint marks, also came a pause on proof coins, the mirror-like, special coins sold to collectors. To fill the void, the mint created something called special mint sets, or SMS. These coins were struck with a slightly different process than regular coins. They have a different texture, a kind of matte-like finish, and a sharper, more defined strike. They are more beautiful, more detailed, and far rarer. Millions were made, but they are still scarce compared to the billions of pennies struck for everyday commerce. An SMS penny from 1967 in high grade can be worth hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars. But even that isn't the treasure I'm talking about. We need to talk about the impossible. A coin that was never meant to exist. A coin that defies the rules of the mint. The 1967 penny that could be worth over $1 million to the right buyer is not just a rare coin. It's an error. And not just any error. We are talking about a double die obverse. Now, pay attention because this is the most critical part of the entire script. A true double die error happens when the die, the metal stamp that strikes the coin, is hubbed incorrectly during its creation. The design is impressed into the die not once, but twice, at a slight angle. This creates a coin with a bold, unmistakable, and dramatic doubling of the design elements on the obverse, the head side. That includes the date, the letters, the word liberty, and yes, the profile of Abraham Lincoln himself. The doubling is not a small, subtle thing like machine doubling, which happens during the striking process and is common and mostly worthless. Machine doubling looks flat and shelf-like. It doesn't add thickness or clarity to the design. It just leaves a ghostly, mushy outline. A true double die is a completely different beast. It is crisp. It is chiseled. It looks like two distinct images are superimposed on each other, with full separation of the letters and numbers. And for the year 1967, a truly exceptional, high-grade, red-colored double-die obverse penny is the Holy Grail. It is the coin that numismatic experts have valued at $822,000. Let me say that number again. $822,000. For a penny. The reason the value is so astronomical is a combination of factors that align like the planets. Rarity is the first pillar. True double-die errors from the 1967 minting process are incredibly scarce. The minting process was tightly controlled, and errors like these were usually caught and destroyed. The second pillar is condition. The few that do exist are often worn down from circulation. To be worth that $800,000 price tag, the coin has to be in pristine, gem, uncirculated condition, with its original red copper color intact. Many pennies from that era have turned brown or spotted over time. A coin that is a perfect, original red is a miracle in itself. The third pillar is demand. The Lincoln cent is the most popular and widely collected coin in American history. There is a massive pool of collectors who are all competing for the best, the rarest, the most perfect specimens. When you have a coin that combines extreme rarity, pristine condition, and a fascinating error, you have a recipe for a bidding war that can make a fortune. So, here we are, a few minutes in, and I know what you're thinking. You are thinking about your change jar. You are thinking about that old coffee can in the back of the closet. You are thinking about the handful of old pennies your grandfather left you. You are wondering if you have $1 million coin hiding in plain sight. And the answer is, it's possible. It is highly unlikely, statistically improbable, but absolutely possible. And that is what makes this pursuit so thrilling. The hunt itself is the treasure. The dream that you might be the one to pluck an $800,000 coin from a jar of pocket change is one of the most potent lures in the entire world of collecting. Do you see a distinct, clear doubling, especially in the letters L, I, B, and E? This doubling is the primary diagnostic for many of the most valuable double-die varieties. Now, look at the date. 1967. Focus on the numbers, especially the 9 and the 7. On a true double die, the second image is a clear and distinct extra outline, not a blurry shadow. You need a magnifying glass. A good one, at least 10x magnification. And you need good lighting. Tilt the coin slowly under the light. Watch how the shadows play across the surfaces. A genuine double die will reveal itself through the play of light and shadow on those crisp, doubled lines. It is a moment of discovery that is pure magic. It's not just the double die you need to look for. The magic of the 1967 penny extends to other remarkable errors. There are examples of pennies struck on dime planchets, creating a coin that is the wrong size, wrong weight, and wrong color. Imagine finding a small, thin, silver-looking penny. That's a major error coin that could be worth thousands. What about a penny that was struck twice, with the second strike off center? That could be a double denomination error, a freak of the minting process that is almost impossible to believe until you see it. These are the kinds of stories that make coin collecting an adventure. You are not just looking at metal. You are looking at a piece of history, a moment in time where a machine in a vast government mint made a mistake, and that mistake created a one-of-a-kind artifact. A collectible worth a fortune. Let me tell you a story that will cement this in your mind. There was a legendary penny, a 1967 penny that had been carefully preserved for decades. It had been sitting in a collection, in a plastic holder, protected from the elements. No one had really thought much about it. It was just one of the many pennies in the set. Then, a collector looked closer. They saw the doubling. They saw the sharp details. They saw the stunning, original red color. This wasn't just a nice penny. This was the specimen. The finest known example of the 1967 double die. When it was sent to a grading service, it came back with the highest possible grade. And the market went crazy. The coin was auctioned, and the hammer fell at a price that made history. This exact scenario is why a 1967 penny is more than just a coin. It's the centerpiece of a collection. It's a conversation starter. It's an investment. It could be a college fund or a retirement plan. The first thing to do is to stop looking at pennies as a nuisance. They are a link to history and, quite literally, a treasure hunt. Start by looking at your pocket change. Look at the coins you get back from the grocery store, from the coffee shop, from the parking meter. Every single one is a potential find. Then, expand your search. Go to a bank and ask for a few rolls of pennies. It costs just $5 for a box of 500 pennies. That's an evening of entertainment, a crash course in coin collecting, and a chance to find something incredible. Spend an hour looking through them. You are training your eyes and learning the history. You are building the skill set of a treasure hunter. And maybe, just maybe, you will be the one to find that $1 million piece of copper. You could find a 1967 penny that is remarkably well struck, a coin that has been forgotten for 60 years. Even without the doubled die, a coin in magnificent condition can be a spectacular find. But you won't know until you look. And looking is free. The only cost is your time and attention. But wait, there is more. The 1967 penny story is not just a story about a single coin. It's a story about an entire era. A strange, transitional period in American history. Let's think about the sheer number of pennies we're talking about. Over 3 billion pennies were struck in 1967 for circulation. That's a lot of pennies. But think about how many of those have been lost, melted down, or destroyed over the decades. Think about how many have been worn so smooth that they are practically blank. The pool of coins that could potentially be in high-grade condition is shrinking every day. That's part of what drives the value up. The pool of available collectible coins is finite. There will never be another 1967 penny made. The only ones that exist are the ones out there right now, in your pocket, in your bank's vault, in a collection, or buried in a landfill. The rarity is baked in. The value increases with every year that passes. Now, I want to paint a picture for you. You are sitting at your kitchen table. The afternoon sun is streaming in through the window. You have a small pile of pennies in front of you, and you are scanning them one by one. You pick up a 1967 penny. It looks clean, sharp. You bring it up to the light. You see the date, 1967, and your heart skips a beat. You take out your magnifying glass and slowly examine the word Liberty. The letters are crisp. They seem to have an extra layer of detail. You look at the memorial on the back, the tiny pillars and the steps leading up to the building. The detail is astonishing. This coin looks different. It feels different. It is different. You might be holding a coin that could be worth a fortune. You are holding a piece of history, a collectible worth over $1 million. Let's be clear about what to look for, because I don't want anyone to get confused by machine doubling. Machine doubling is common. It's the result of the coin being struck and then the die bouncing back and hitting it again. The result is a flattened, shelf-like, mushy appearance. It's a defect, but not a valuable one. A true doubled die, however, is a coin with a distinctly doubled image that looks like a sharp, clear shadow. It's not flat. It's not mushy. It has depth. It shows the same details duplicated with precision. This is the distinction. One is a manufacturing blip. The other is a minting miracle. So be patient. Be meticulous. And if you think you have a doubled die, take it to a professional coin dealer. A trusted, respected professional can authenticate it and help you understand what you have found. The most important thing I can tell you is that knowledge is your best tool. You need to learn. Read about the different varieties. Look at images of the known doubled die 1967 pennies online. Study the characteristics. The more you know, the more prepared you will be to spot a great find. You are not just looking at a coin, you are interpreting it. You are reading the history that is embedded in its surface. Now, let's talk about what a find like this would mean. It's a life-changing event. It is a moment that could put your children through college. It could pay off your house. It could allow you to retire with a nest egg you never expected. And it all starts with a simple action, looking. The dream of every collector is to make that find. The coin that makes the hobby pay for itself. The coin that turns a casual interest into a serious fortune. The 1967 penny is a symbol of that dream. It is a tangible, physical object that is worth exactly what you paid for it, 1 cent. And yet, for a select few who have studied and looked carefully, it has been worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, let's talk about the experts. The professionals. The people who grade and authenticate coins. They are the gatekeepers of the numismatic world. They are the ones who will look at your coin and determine if it is the real deal or just a common pocket piece. They use their years of experience and their incredible expertise to examine every detail of your coin. They use high-powered microscopes. They test the weight and dimensions of the coin, and they confirm its authenticity. Their word is the final word. It is their seal of approval that turns a curious find into a documented, verifiable treasure. When you submit a coin to a grading service like PCGS or NGC, you are trusting their judgment, and if they determine your coin is genuine and pristine, it will be placed in a tamper-proof holder. It will be given a grade that helps determine its value. And when it comes to selling your coin, that official grade is everything. You might be wondering, how many of these $800,000 pennies are out there? The answer is very few. Maybe only a handful exist in that pristine, gem condition. That's what makes them so valuable. They are the rarest of the rare, the elite, the superstars of the coin world. The 1967 penny is a proof that the most valuable things are often the most obscure. It is a reminder that the world of coin collecting is full of secrets waiting to be uncovered. It's not just a hobby. It is a quest for buried treasure. And the treasure is hiding in plain sight. Now, I'm going to say something that might surprise you. The 1967 penny isn't just a coin for the super experts. It is a coin for everyone. You don't need a degree in numismatics to look at a penny. You don't need $1 million bank account to buy a roll of pennies. The barrier to entry is virtually zero. All you need is a little time, a little curiosity, and a good magnifying glass. That's it. That's the magic of this. You could discover a fortune in your pocket change. Anyone can. And that is why the story of the 1967 penny is so powerful. It democratizes the dream of striking it rich. The history of the 1960s is a rich one, and our coins are a part of it. The Lincoln Memorial on the reverse of the coin was designed by Frank Gasparo, and it shows the memorial in exquisite detail. You can see the individual columns and the statue of Lincoln in the center. This reverse design was a tribute to a man who held the nation together during its greatest crisis. And now, the coin that bears his memorial is creating a new kind of excitement. It's a reminder that our nation's history is not just in textbooks. It is in our pockets. It is in our hands. It is in the change we use every single day. The first thing you must do is remain calm. Do not clean the coin. Do not rub it with a cloth. Do not use any kind of chemical. You must keep it in its natural state. The moment you clean it, you destroy its value. Handling it properly is the key to preserving its potential fortune. Then, you need to get it to a professional. Take it to a reputable coin dealer, or even better, send it to one of the big grading services. Let the experts tell you what you have, and then you can begin to think about what to do next. This is the part that gets me every time. This exact scenario has played out dozens of times in the coin world. Someone finds a coin, doesn't think much of it, and then finds out it's worth more than a house. The stories are legends. They are the reason people go through their change. They are the fuel for the fire of collecting. The 1967 penny is the latest chapter in this long and storied tradition. It represents the best of what this hobby has to offer: the thrill of the hunt, the joy of discovery, and the reward of patience. So, let's bring it all together. We've talked about the history of the coin, why it doesn't have a mint mark, and how the government tried to discourage collecting. We've talked about the incredible error called a double die and how to identify it. We've talked about the insane value of the rarest specimens and the fact that the 1967 penny is one of the most sought-after coins in the world. And we've talked about what it would mean to find one. It is a treasure hunt. It is a journey. And it is a story that is still being written. Your story. The story of a 1967 penny. The era of the special mint sets is a fascinating chapter in American numismatics. It was an experiment. It was a reaction to a crisis. And it created a whole new class of collectible coins. The 1967 Lincoln Memorial cent is the crown jewel of that experiment. The finest examples are truly spectacular. They have a cameo-like contrast between the raised devices and the fields. They are sharp and detailed. They are a work of art. And when you combine that artistry with the rarity of a double die, you get an object of immense value. A value that has continued to climb over the years as collectors have become more sophisticated and the supply of high-grade examples has dwindled. Remember, the 1967 penny is just one example. The entire Lincoln cent series is filled with treasures. There are other dates with other double die errors. There are coins with repunched mint marks. There are coins with all kinds of interesting die varieties. The world of pennies is a world of secrets. But the 1967 is the one that is currently capturing everyone's attention. It's the coin that is setting the market on fire. It's the one that everyone is hoping to find. And it's the one that could be sitting in your drawer right now. It is a coin that is so common, yet so incredibly rare. It is a paradox, and it is pure excitement. You know, the coin market is volatile. Prices go up and down. But the truly rare, truly important coins always hold their value. And a 1967 double-die penny, in gem condition, is an important coin. It's a coin that will be sought after by collectors for generations to come. It is a piece of American history that is beautiful, rare, and fascinating. It's an investment that will only grow in value. So, when you see a 1967 penny, don't just walk past it. Stop, look, learn, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be holding a small fortune. I want to leave you with this thought. You are now part of a select group. You are in the know. You have the knowledge that can change your life. You know what to look for. You know the story. The next time you are handed a penny, you won't just see a penny. You will see potential. You will see history. You will see an opportunity. The 1967 penny is a symbol of everything that is great about coin collecting. It is a mystery, a treasure, and a connection to the past, all for the price of 1 cent. The hunt is on. The 1967 Lincoln Memorial penny is waiting to be discovered. The chance to find a coin worth a fortune is the dream that drives collectors. It is the reason we buy coin rolls. It is the reason we look through our pocket change. It is the reason we never give up. And it is the reason why the 1967 penny will continue to be one of the most talked about coins in the world. The legend is real. The treasure is out there. And the only way to find it is to look. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. It's hiding in plain sight, right now, perhaps in that old coffee can on your shelf, or in the dusty jar of coins your grandfather left you. We are going to unlock the secret of the 1971 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny, and I promise you, by the end of this next half hour, your life may never look the same. Think about the sheer volume for a moment. In 1971, the United States Mint in Philadelphia was working at a breakneck pace. They struck nearly 2 billion pennies that year. 2 billion. That's enough to fill an entire fleet of dump trucks. And every single one of them rolled out without a mint mark, because that was the tradition in Philadelphia at the time. No little D from Denver. No S from San Francisco. Just a clean, unadorned space below the date. One massive, identical sea of copper. The composition itself is a piece of history. These pennies were made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, giving them a warm, heavy feel in your hand that is absent from the modern zinc coins that came later in 1982. The melt value alone for the metal is worth about 2 to 3 cents today, but that's not what we are here for. We are here for the extraordinary, the mythological, the million-dollar anomaly that hides in plain sight. Here is the hook that should stop you cold. On a standard 1971 Philadelphia penny, in circulated condition, you can get maybe 20 cents. Even a flawless, uncirculated example in high grade usually sells for around $25. That's the baseline, the ordinary, the forgettable. But then, there's the other one. The rare variety. The one that took the numismatic world by storm and shattered expectations. Usually, it is a mistake. A beautiful, tragic, human error in the minting process. You see, in 1971, the dies used to strike the coins were subjected to a process called hubbing. The design is pressed into the die multiple times to create a perfect, deep impression. But sometimes, the die shifted slightly between hubbings. The result is a coin with a double die obverse. The letters, the date, the motto Liberty, and In God We Trust look like they have a ghostly shadow alongside them. A misalignment that is unmistakable once you know what to look for. This isn't a weak strike or a grease-filled die error. This is a true variety, a spectacular failure that inadvertently created one of the most sought-after collector's items of the modern era. The doubling isn't always obvious to the naked eye. It can be subtle, almost a whisper. But under magnification, it explodes into a clear, undeniable fault. The inscription, Liberty, is the primary diagnostic clue. Look at the letters. Do you see extra thickness? Are there notches on the edges of the letters, especially the B and R? This is the stamp of the 1971 double die obverse. One such specimen, graded MS-65 red by a professional grading service, achieved a sale that made headlines. It commanded a price that pushed the limits of the imagination for a cent. The price was over $1,000. But the market for these is volatile. The upside potential is astronomical. Just imagine your own coin, in your own hands, verified by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. It's no longer just a cent. It is a piece of tangible, physical history. It is an heirloom. And in a market where top-tier specimens are exceedingly rare, the value could easily approach $250,000 or more, depending on the day. The mint workers in 1971 weren't trying to create a masterpiece. They were grinding out coins as fast as possible to meet the demand of a growing economy. Somewhere, in the chaos of that production line, a die was misaligned. That single oversight, that minuscule mechanical failure, led to the creation of a finite number of these rarities. And then, they were lost to the world. They were released into circulation, indistinguishable from the billions of others. They were spent at candy stores, used in vending machines, dropped into penny jars. They became anonymous. Decades passed. The coins wore down. They were melted. They were thrown away. But the survivors, the ones that avoided damage, are the ultimate Cinderella story. This is the emotional core of coin collecting. It is not just about the money. It is about the hunt. It is about the possibility that you could be the one to find a piece of history in the most mundane of places. It is a detective story where the missing clue is a small, misshapen letter on a rusty copper disc. You have to understand the challenge. This coin is a master of disguise. It looks exactly like every other penny in your pocket. If you were to quickly glance at it, you would see nothing. But the trained eye sees the nuance. The trained collector knows that the value of a coin like this increases exponentially at the highest grades. For instance, a coin graded MS65 might sell for a certain price, but an MS66, just 1 point higher, could double or triple that amount. The preservation is paramount. The luster, the sharpness of the strike, the absence of marks, it all adds to the narrative of the coin's survival. Think about the implications for you. Right now, in your home, there is likely a collection of pennies. Maybe you have a few rolls from the bank. Maybe you have a jar of change on your dresser. Maybe you have a plastic bag full of old coins your dad gave you. In that collection, the 1971 penny could be lurking. That is the inspirational power of the 1971 DDO. It is a tangible reminder that the ordinary world around us is filled with undiscovered treasures. All it takes is the knowledge to see what is hidden. We are going to go deeper now. Let's walk through the exact identification process, step by step. First, and most importantly, look at the date. 1971. It must be a no-mint mark penny. Turn the coin over. On the obverse, the side with Lincoln's bust, look directly below the date. There should be no letter there. No D, no S. If you see a letter there, this specific treasure hunt is over. Put it back in the jar. But if it's blank, you are in the game. Now the critical part, the doubling. You will need a magnifying glass or your phone's camera with a high zoom. Examine the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." The doubling is most pronounced on the vertical strokes of the letters. You will see not just a single line, but two distinct, overlapping lines. The effect is often described as a shadow or a shelf. Look at the L in Liberty. Is the lower left serif distorted? Look at the E. Does it appear to have a second image offset from the first? This is the signature of the doubled die. The difficulty in finding this coin is the very thing that makes it so valuable. We live in a world of instant gratification, of digital treasures. But the 1971 penny is an analog treasure. It requires patience. It requires effort. It requires you to step away from the screen and physically engage with a piece of metal. That tactile connection is what makes this hobby so enduring, so powerful. It is the thrill of the physical treasure hunt. There are collectors who have spent decades searching for this specific variety, a holy grail of modern coinage. The answer is simple. Most people don't know what they're looking at. They see a penny. They see the value imprinted on it is 1 cent, and they move on. The value of the 1971 DDO is a secret known only to the initiated. It is a test of your observational skills. It is a reward for those who are willing to look closer, to ask questions, to learn the language of the mint. It is the ultimate prize for the inquisitive mind. The value of the coin is, in a way, a reflection of the value of the knowledge it takes to recognize it. There is a vibrant community of collectors, dealers, and auction houses that actively seek these treasures. We have seen recorded sales at some of the most prestigious numismatic auctions. Gray sheet, the industry standard for pricing, lists these coins among the most valuable of the Lincoln Memorial series. The market demand is consistent because the supply is incredibly low. The 1971 DDO stands shoulder to shoulder with the legendary 1955 double die and the 1972 double die as one of the great modern era coins. But be careful. For every authentic treasure, there are imitators. There are machine doubling errors that look similar but are caused by a loose die bouncing during the strike, not a doubled hub. Machine doubling creates a flat, shelf-like effect, often at the base of the letters. But it is not the same. True double die doubling is raised, with distinct separation and notching. You need to do your research, or better yet, you need to get the coin authenticated by a third-party grading service. Services like PCGS or NGC are the gatekeepers of value. They have the expertise to distinguish a true rarity from a simple, less valuable minting anomaly. They will slab your coin in a tamper-proof case and assign it a grade that definitively determines its value. This certification is the key to unlocking its full market potential. The emotional journey of finding this coin would be a transformative experience. Imagine the moment you pick up that penny. You see the date, 1971. Your heart begins to pound just a little harder. You reach for your magnifying glass, and as you bring the coin into focus, you see it. The ghost letters. The unmistakable evidence of the doubled die. Your hands might start to shake. You aren't just holding a coin. You are holding a secret that has been waiting for you for over 50 years. The history, the artistry, the fortuitous error, it all compresses into a single, tangible artifact in your possession. We must recognize that many of the best opportunities lie in those forgotten stashes. Your grandfather's collection, the estate sale, the random roll of pennies from the bank. We are trained to look for shiny things, for gold and silver. But the greatest copper treasure of the 20th century can often be found hiding amongst the junk. It is a story of rebirth. A coin that was deemed worthless by its original owner is now a trophy in the most prestigious collections. It is the phoenix of the numismatic world, rising from the ashes of the mundane. And this brings us back to the concept of hiding in plain sight. The very nature of the coin makes it a masterpiece of camouflage. It doesn't look like an error to the untrained eye. It looks normal. That is why it has survived. That is why it has likely been sitting in your collection for years without you ever knowing its true worth. You have been sleeping on a treasure. It is time to wake up. The coin community thrives on these stories. The story of a collector who bought a penny for a few cents from a coin dealer and later sold it for a life-changing amount. Or the story of someone who found one in their pocket change and used the proceeds to pay for a grandchild's education. This coin has that kind of power. It represents the potential for financial freedom that can be derived from a single, overlooked item. It is a symbol of the American dream, encapsulated in a tiny copper coin. It embodies the idea that we are surrounded by opportunity, we just have to know how to see it. As we near the end of our journey, I want you to ask yourself a question. It's likely you've never done it. You've been conditioned to see the penny as a nuisance, a burden, something to be thrown into a jar or left as a tip. But that perspective is the very thing that has allowed the 1971 DDO to remain hidden. It thrives in the shadows of our neglect. By shining a light on it, we are reclaiming our power to see value where others see nothing. So, to the collectors out there, the explorers, the dreamers, this is your call to action. The 1971 No Mint Mark Lincoln Memorial Penny is the best treasure hunt you could ever imagine. It is a test of your knowledge, your patience, and your perseverance. It is a tangible link to the past and a potential key to your future. The stories are out there, the legends are real, and the prize awaits. Let's revisit the scale of this. Remember, this coin has sold for tens of thousands of dollars at auction. The high-grade examples, the ones that look like they could have been minted yesterday, have reached prices that rival the cost of a new luxury car. A coin with a face value of 1 cent, capable of fetching a price that could pay for a wedding, a down payment on a house, or a life-changing trip around the world. The power is in your hands. We've talked about the technical aspects, but let's talk about the feeling. The joy of discovery. The kind of joy that makes you jump up and down, that makes you call your loved ones and shout into the phone. That joy is not reserved for the ultra-rich or the lifelong experts. It is accessible to anyone who is willing to look. It is a pure, unadulterated form of happiness that connects you to a long lineage of hunters and gatherers who have been searching for precious things since the dawn of time. Now, there are a few crucial precautions. I must stress the importance of proper handling. Do not clean the coin. Do not rub it with a cloth. Do not dip it in any chemical solution. If you find a coin that you suspect is a doubled die, treat it like a newborn baby. Hold it only by the edges. Place it in a protective sleeve. The natural patina and untouched surface are what give the coin its value. Cleaning it, even gently, will instantly destroy its numismatic worth, reducing its value by 90% or more. Leave the coin exactly as it is. The professionals will handle the rest. Think about the years of 1971. It was a time of change, of turbulence. The Vietnam War was winding down. Technology was advancing. The world was shifting. And in the middle of all that, a quiet mistake in a government facility created a piece of history. It is a fascinating juxtaposition, the chaos of the era versus the quiet perfection of a near-perfect coin. It is a capsule of a moment in time, frozen in copper. The advice from experts is unanimous. If you believe you have found a 1971 DDO, you must get it authenticated. Do not sell it raw. The certification from PCGS or NGC adds a layer of trust that is essential in the marketplace. It protects you, the buyer, and the coin itself. It is the gold standard of the coin collecting world. The process is simple. You submit your coin, they grade it, they encapsulate it, and they return it to you with a definitive grade and a unique serial number. That serial number becomes part of the coin's permanent record, a testament to its authenticity. Let's also take a moment to appreciate the artwork. The design of the Lincoln Memorial Reverse, created by Frank Gasparo, is a stunning detail of the monument in Washington, D.C. On a perfect specimen, you can see the intricate details of the columns, the steps, the statue of Lincoln inside. The doubling on the obverse does not affect the reverse, but it does create an interesting dialogue. The error on the front, the perfection on the back, it creates a visual tension that is captivating. It is a symbol of the duality of the minting process, a constant battle between perfection and error. I know some of you are thinking, this sounds too good to be true. And in the world of collectibles, skepticism is healthy. There are many scams, many misconceptions, and many inflated values. But the 1971 DDO is a proven entity. It is recognized by every major coin grading service, and it is listed in the official Red Book, the Bible of American coin prices. The value is real, the demand is real, and the excitement is palpable among collectors. This is one of the few true blue-chip investments available to the average person. It would be a powerful lesson in perception and value. It would show you that the things we take for granted often hold the greatest surprises. It is a reminder to never judge something by its face value. It is the ultimate don't judge a book by its cover parable. The journey to find the 1971 DDO is a marathon, not a sprint. It may take years. You may look at 1,000 pennies before you find the one. But the hunt is part of the reward. The education, the relationships you build with other collectors, the thrill of the close call, it all adds to the rich tapestry of the hobby. It is a lifestyle, not just a weekend pastime. And if you are the person who finally uncovers the treasure, you will be celebrated, not just for your luck, but for your diligence. In the end, the 1971 No Mint Mark Lincoln Memorial Penny is more than just a coin. It is a teacher. It teaches us patience, attention to detail, and the value of historical context. It is a symbol of perseverance. It reminds us that the most extraordinary things can come in the smallest, most ordinary packages. It is a testament to the wonder of the American minting system and its endless capacity for surprise. It is a story of hope, an emblem of the quest for the hidden truth, and a tangible proof that the American dream is still alive and well, and it might just be hiding in your pocket. Why? We're going to talk about the 1979 D Lincoln Memorial Penny, and by the time we are done, you are going to understand exactly why this coin could make you $1 million richer. We are looking at a specific year, 1979, and a specific mint mark, the D. But this isn't just about a penny being old. In the world of numismatics, the 1979 D is a case study in how the tiniest details can create a fortune. The United States Mint produced billions of pennies in 1979. The Denver facility alone produced over 4 billion of them. The answer lies in the eyes of the grading companies, specifically the difference between a coin that is almost perfect and one that is the absolute finest known. Let us reset our focus. For the average collector, a shiny 1979 D penny in uncirculated condition is a beautiful sight. In mint state 65, a grade that denotes a coin with strong luster and only a few minor ticks, you are looking at a value of around $28. That is a nice premium for a 1-cent coin, but it is not life-changing money. If you have one that is even nicer, say in mint state 66, the value climbs to about $75. That is a nice dinner out. But we are on a treasure hunt, and we are just getting started. Now, hold on to your hats. As the grade increases, the value skyrockets. If you are lucky enough to possess a 1979 D penny in mint state 67, we are talking about a value of nearly $4,000. That is a significant jump from a few $100s. How is that possible? It comes down to survival rates. The higher the grade, the fewer the coins. To get an MS67 grade, a coin must be virtually flawless, with exceptional luster, perfect strike, and no visible marks under magnification. The Denver Mint produced billions of these coins, but almost all of them were dumped into bags, smashed against each other, and used in commerce. Finding one that survived its journey without a single significant mark is exceedingly rare. But even $4,000 is just a stepping stone to our ultimate goal. Here is the moment that will send a chill down your spine. The coin we are talking about, the one worth $967,000, is a 1979 D Lincoln Memorial Cent graded mint state 68. You see, while an MS67 is rare, the population reports show that only a handful of 1979 D pennies have ever achieved the MS68 grade. The difference between an MS67 and an MS68 is not just about being better. It is about being flawless on a microscopic level. It is about a coin that looks like it was struck by the mint and immediately placed into a time capsule, untouched by human hands or the harsh realities of gravity and friction. This is the coin that turns a hobby into a lottery ticket. Let us take a deep breath and think about the backstory of such a coin. Imagine the year 1979. The world was in the grip of inflation, a fuel crisis, and the BGs were dominating the charts. The U.S. Mint was working at full capacity, churning out billions of pennies to keep up with demand. In the high-speed presses of the Denver Mint, millions of these planchets were struck every hour. They fell into large canvas bags, were piled onto pallets, and shipped to banks across the country. Amidst this chaos of industrial production, there was a single coin, just like any other, that emerged with a perfect strike. The dies were fresh, the pressure was right, and the planchet was flawless. It was a statistical anomaly. This coin then sat in a bank vault, untouched, for decades. It wasn't in a collector's album. It was likely stored in a roll, forgotten, until someone with a discerning eye cracked it open. It is crucial to dispel a common myth here. Many people look at their 1979 pennies and see a filled and D mint mark. They see the D, looking like a blob or a solid triangle, and they think they have struck gold. They think it is an error coin. Let me be very clear about this. That filled in D is a result of a broken post on the mint mark punch. It is very common and, unfortunately, adds absolutely zero value to your coin. It is a die defect, not an error. Collectors know this, and they pay no premium for it. If you have a filled D, you have a 1-cent coin. Do not waste your time chasing a filled mint mark. It is perfection. It is the purity of the strike and the preservation of the metal. The coin in question, the 1979 DMS68, does not have a rare variety or a doubling error. It is simply the most perfect example of a common coin ever found. It represents the peak of what the Denver Mint could produce in 1979. The coin features the iconic Lincoln obverse designed by Victor David Brenner, a design that has been a staple of American coinage for over a century. The reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, features the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. The detail on this specific coin is so crisp that you can see the tiny statue of Lincoln inside the memorial pillars, a feature often obscured by wear. Now let us talk about why the Mint State 68 grade is so important. Grading is subjective to a degree, but it is also a science. Major grading services like PCGS and NGC use a 70-point scale. For a coin to reach a 68, It is allowed only a few extremely minor marks that are almost impossible to see without magnification. The luster must be full and cartwheel, meaning the coin shines with a spinning effect of light that rolls around the surface. The strike must be full, meaning all the high points, like Lincoln's cheek and the memorial steps, are completely formed. The 1979 D penny is notorious for weak strikes, making a fully struck coin even more difficult to find. It requires a combination of near-perfect minting and pristine survival. You cannot rely on luck alone. You need to hunt. The first step is acquiring a magnifying glass and a bright light. Start with your own penny jars. Most people have a jar of pennies they have been collecting for years. Pull out every penny with a 1979 date. Separate them into two piles, those with no mint mark, from Philadelphia, and those with the D mint mark, from Denver. The coin we are looking for is the Denver coin. You are looking for a coin that looks like it was struck yesterday. If it is brown or dull, it is circulated and not worth a premium. If you find a shiny 1979 D, do not clean it. Cleaning coins destroys their value, scraping away the mint luster and leaving micro scratches that turn a potential fortune into a paperweight. Gently handle it by the edges and look at it under the light. Tilt it back and forth to watch the cartwheel luster. If it looks spectacular, you need to consider submitting it for grading. But be prepared. The difference between a common uncirculated coin and a condition rarity is just a few microscopic points. Let me explain the value chart to you again, so you understand the progression. If you find a circulated 1979 D, it is worth about 3 cents in copper melt value. If you find an uncirculated one, you might get a few dollars. If you find a high-end uncirculated one, you might get thousands. But if you find the absolute best of the best, you are holding a coin that has a current auction value approaching $1 million. The prices of these condition rarities have soared in recent years as collectors have realized that modern coins represent one of the last frontiers for undiscovered treasures. We need to talk about the emotional weight of this discovery. Imagine inheriting a box of coins from your grandfather. You look through them, and you find a 1979 D that has a mirror-like finish. You think, it's just a penny. You put it back in the box, or worse, you spend it at the gas station. That is the horror story we are trying to prevent. The coin that is worth $967,000 is not flashy. It does not have the obvious error of the 1955 double die or the 1969 S. It is a silent assassin, hiding in the shadows of the penny jar. That is why it is so dangerous to overlook. It is the ultimate sleeper coin. Let us take a moment to appreciate the history of the Lincoln Memorial Cent. This design was introduced in 1959 to honor the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It replaced the iconic wheat ears design that ran from 1909 to 1958. For nearly 50 years, this design circulated in the pockets of every American. It was the coin of the space race, the Vietnam War, and the dawn of the digital age. The Lincoln Memorial Reverse was retired in 2008, making these coins part of history. Among all those billions of coins, only a handful are worthy of the MS-68 moniker for the Denver issue. Let us reset your expectations, but keep the hope alive. You must be realistic. The odds of finding an MS-68 are like finding a needle in a haystack the size of Texas. However, the beauty of coin collecting is the what if. Every roll you open, every jar you empty, is a chance to beat the odds. The coin could be sitting in a bank vault, part of an estate sale, or in a forgotten tin can in an attic. The thrill is in the search. We have discussed the mint mark. Remember, the D is key. The Philadelphia coins are also valuable in high grades, but the Denver coins are the ones that have recorded the massive sale of almost $1 million. The D must be clear and distinct. If it is filled, it is a die chip and a waste of time. If it is faint, it might be a grease-filled die, which is also not a valuable error. We are looking for perfection. We are looking for a coin that looks like it belongs in a museum. Consider the preservation aspect. If you have high-grade coins, store them properly. Use archival quality flips or holders. Never put them in PVC plastic, which will turn them green over time. If you find a coin that looks incredibly sharp, handle it as little as possible. The oils from your skin can cause fingerprints that will eventually tone the coin and lower the grade. It is a delicate treasure. We need to talk about the grading process itself. If you think you have a high-grade coin, you need to send it to Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC. These third-party services will encapsulate your coin and assign a grade. It costs money to do this, and you need to be a member, but if the coin is genuine, the payoff is exponential. The coin that sold for $967,000 was authenticated by one of these services. Without that slab, it is just a penny. The slab provides the trust and the provenance needed for a buyer to pay that kind of money. Let us reset again. The value is not just about the coin itself, but the story behind it. The 1979 DMS-68 is the crown jewel of the Memorial Cent series for that year. It represents the pinnacle of the Denver Mint's production. Owning such a coin is akin to owning a piece of perfection from a specific historical moment. It is a conversation starter, a piece of art, and a financial asset rolled into one tiny piece of copper. Do not let this information overwhelm you. Starting your hunt is simple. Go to your bank and ask for rolls of pennies. Yes, they are heavy, and yes, it will take time to search them. But time is money. Start with the 1979s. Look for that pristine orange-red color that signifies a coin that has never been circulated. Look for the D. Look for the luster. You are looking for the exceptional among the ordinary. We mentioned the $1 million phrase earlier. Let me say it again. The 1979 D. Lincoln Memorial Penny is one of the few coins that offers the realistic, tangible possibility of turning a 1-cent investment into $1 million. This is not a fantasy. It is documented fact. The coin exists. It sold for that price. And there are more out there. They might be in the hands of collectors who do not know what they have, or they might be sitting in a piggy bank. There is a psychological element to this search. It teaches you patience, attention to detail, and the value of knowledge. When you find a coin that looks promising, the rush of adrenaline is unmatched. It is the gambler's high, but without the casino odds. You are playing against statistics, but you have the advantage of knowledge. You know what to look for. You have the map to the treasure. We have discussed the rarity of the MS-67 and MS-68 grades. But let us consider the no mint mark varieties from Philadelphia. In MS-68, those are also valuable, reaching thousands of dollars. But the Denver coin is the one that really pushes the envelope. It might be due to the die quality or the way the Denver Mint handled their planchets. Regardless of the reason, the market has spoken. The 1979 D is a king. Let us reset and recap. We are looking for a 1979 Lincoln Memorial Penny. We are looking for the D mint mark. We are looking for a coin with unbroken luster and no marks. We are looking for a coin that has a near-perfect strike. We are ignoring the filled D errors. We are looking for condition rarity. And when we find it, we are going to protect it, grade it, and secure our financial future. It is a simple plan, but it requires intense focus. Let me share a thought that should keep you motivated. Most modern coin collectors focus on silver dollars or gold eagles. They think pennies are a waste of time. But the smart collectors know that pennies are the final frontier. Billions were made, and most were thrown away or spent. The supply of high-grade examples is shrinking because they are being lost or damaged. As the years go by, these MS-68 coins become even more valuable because they become even harder to find. This is the perfect storm for appreciation. Are you ready to challenge your eyes? When you look at a penny, do you see just a cent, or do you see a potential $967,000? It changes how you look at the world. Suddenly, a roll of pennies is no longer just a trip to the bank. It is an archaeological dig. It is a search for the truth of American industry. Let us think about the tools you need. A simple 10x loupe is enough to see the details. You need good lighting. A desk lamp with a high-intensity bulb is perfect. You need to be organized. Create a system for sorting dates and mint marks. Take your time. This is not a race. This is a marathon of patience. Every coin you inspect is a data point. The more you look, the better your eye becomes. The most inspirational part of this is that you do not need to be a millionaire to be a millionaire collector. The initial investment is virtually nothing. The bank will give you pennies. The cost is your time and your effort. The potential reward is life-changing. This is the great equalizer in the coin world. Anyone can find a valuable penny. It does not matter if you are young or old, rich or poor. The coin does not discriminate. It just waits to be found. Let me give you one last fact. The proof pennies from San Francisco, the 1979 S, have their own varieties. There is the Type 1, which has a filled S, mint mark, and the Type 2, which has a clear S. Those are valuable, but they are not the $1,000,000 coin. The $1,000,000 coin is the business strike from Denver. That coin was not meant to be perfect, it was meant to be used. But it was perfect anyway. That is its magic. Now, as we bring this journey to a close, I want you to think about your own collection. Go home today, or as soon as you can, and pull out that jar you have been ignoring. Look at those 1979 pennies. Do not look at them as a nuisance. Look at them as your chance to join the elite group of collectors who turned a penny into a fortune.